Teachers, what's the craziest rumor you've heard about a student that turned out to be true? I was teaching 10th grade English at Lincoln High when I heard it. Third period, right after winter break ended in January. The students were filing in, still half asleep and complaining about being back. I was writing the day's agenda on the board when I heard Sarah Mitchell talking to her friend Ashley near the back of the room. That's why Brandon isn't here, Sarah was saying in that dramatic whisper that teenagers think is quiet, but absolutely isn't. He brought a gun to school before break, had a whole kill list and everything. Security caught him in the parking lot. I turned around immediately. Sarah, that's enough. We don't spread rumors like that. She looked at me with wide eyes. But it's true, Ms. Peterson. Everyone knows about it. If something like that had actually happened, the administration would have informed the teachers. They wouldn't keep us in the dark about something that serious. I kept my voice firm but calm. Now let's focus on class. Sarah shrugged and pulled out her notebook. The other students settled into their seats and I started the lesson on To Kill a Mockingbird. But the rumor stuck in my head. Brandon Hayes, quiet kid, sat in the middle of the room, always wore the same black hoodie. He'd been in my class first semester. Average student, turned in his work on time, never caused problems. The idea of him bringing a gun to school seemed absurd. At lunch, I mentioned it to Jim Kowalski, the history teacher whose room was next to mine. You hear anything about a student bringing a gun to school before break? I asked. Jim looked up from his sandwich. Brandon Hayes? Yeah, I heard the same rumor from a couple students this morning. Total nonsense, right? Admin would have sent out an email or had an emergency meeting or something. That's what I figured. We dropped it and talked about lesson plans for the week. Brandon wasn't in my fourth period class either, or the next day. By Wednesday, more students were talking about it. Not just in whispers anymore. Groups of kids in the hallway between classes, at lunch, before school started. The story was getting more detailed. He'd had a list of names. He'd written it in a notebook. Security found the gun in his backpack during a random check. Thursday morning, I stopped by the main office before first period. Principal Dawson's secretary, Mrs. Chen, was at her desk. Hey Linda, quick question. Is Brandon Hayes out sick or something? He hasn't been in class all week. Mrs. Chen's face did something weird. A flicker of discomfort before she went neutral again. I'm not able to discuss individual student situations. That was when I knew. The rumor was true. Linda, if something happened before break, the teacher should know about it. She looked at me for a long moment. You'd have to talk to Principal Dawson about that. I went straight to Dawson's office. His door was open. He was at his computer typing something. John, can I talk to you for a minute? He glanced up. Sure, come in. I closed the door behind me. What happened with Brandon Hayes? His expression didn't change, but I saw his jaw tighten slightly. That's a confidential student matter. The kids are saying he brought a gun to school. They're saying he had a kill list. They're saying security caught him in the parking lot right before winter break. Dawson leaned back in his chair. He was quiet for several seconds. Then he sighed. Yes, that happened. Security found a handgun in his backpack during a routine check on the last day before break. There was also a notebook with names in it. I felt the floor tilt slightly. And you didn't tell the teachers? We handled it. The student was suspended and law enforcement was involved. We determined there was no ongoing threat. No ongoing threat? John, if a kid brings a gun to school with a list of names, that's something the staff needs to know about. The situation was contained. We didn't want to create panic. When is he coming back? Dawson shifted some papers on his desk. Monday. He served his suspension. He's suspended for a week for bringing a gun to school? The district has policies about these things. It's complicated. There were extenuating circumstances. I stood there staring at him. Were any teachers on the list? I can't disclose that. That means yes. He didn't respond. I walked out of his office and went straight to the teacher's lounge. Jim was there with a few other teachers getting coffee before second period started. It's true, I said. Brandon Hayes brought a gun to school before break. Had a list. He's coming back Monday. The room went silent. Everyone turned to look at me. What do you mean he's coming back? That was Rachel Torres, the math teacher. Dawson said he served his suspension. 1 week for bringing a gun to school. Jim put his coffee down. That's insane. Monday morning, Brandon Hayes walked into my third period class like nothing had happened. Same black hoodie, same blank expression. He sat in his usual seat and pulled out his notebook. Sarah Mitchell looked at me from across the room. I didn't know what to say to her. I taught the lesson. Brandon took notes. At the end of class, he turned in the homework assignment he'd missed during his suspension. I took it without making eye contact. That afternoon, I started looking for teaching positions in other districts. I put in my resignation in March and left at the end of the school year. I wasn't going to work in a place that thought 1 week suspension was appropriate for bringing a loaded weapon to school and kept the teachers in the dark about it. I teach at a different school now. Smaller district, better administration. But I still think about that week sometimes. About how Sarah was right and I told her she was spreading rumors. About how Brandon just came back like nothing happened. About how many names were on that list.